Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The New World. And today, we are revisiting a topic once again dealing with some potential locker room trouble within the Philadelphia Eagles organization. And even though star wide receiver A.J. Brown confirmed everything is good between him and Jalen Hurts, there are still some things that need to be talked about. But before we hop into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we are on the road to 10K subs, turn on those notifications, and stay tuned for more content. And comment if you think there is a problem in the Eagles locker room and if this could stun their Super Bowl chances. Now fellas, with the recent remarks about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, can we pinpoint a problem in the locker room? And will this hurt their chances at a Super Bowl run?
No disrespect to A.J. Brown, but I don't believe him. I think that he's a liar. I don't think that things are all good. I think that he just has to say that, and he's trying to make it seem these guys, these divas, man, when it comes to how they interact with the media, they don't do a good job. So now he's going to say something along the lines of, oh yeah, I'll be the bad guy. And it's like, sir, the only reason why we're coming to you about this is because you brought it up. You guys have been winning games. Nobody was talking about passing. You brought that up, sir. Now that you brought that to our attention, let's break it down. Jalen Hurts, people can talk about him playing well. They've condensed the offense so damn much that they basically made it dummy proof. We're running the ball. That's the main priority. The main objective is to run with Saquon. He's the best running back in the league. He may be the best player in the league. He's probably going to be top 2 MVP candidate at least. So they're running the football. Jalen Hurts on the season has 16 touchdowns and 5 picks, which is, that ratio is really, really good, but the volume is down. And it's good that the volume is down because if we look at his season last year, he was really, really bad because they had the ball in his hands. A.J. Brown, last year you had 106 catches with 1,400 yards and you had 7 touchdowns. That was a good year for you, especially early on in this season. But what ended up happening in that season? You lost. Because when Jalen Hurts has the ball in his hands, we cannot trust him because he's not a good quarterback. He's mediocre at best. He had 23 touchdowns and 15 picks last year. 15 picks. It's kind of crazy. He was selected to make it to the Pro Bowl. Weird. I don't know how that works, but that did happen. So he had an 89 passer rating in 2023. Now he has a 102. Why is that? Because the attempts are going down. If we just look at his logs, guys, he's only throwing 19 to 20 passes a game. And that's good for them because they are winning. Now, A.J. Brown, he did bring up a good argument if they're trying to win the Super Bowl, because at this point, I didn't think going into the season that this team has Super Bowl expectations, but now they do. They're going to win that division easily, and they're going to be a top 2 seed, likely. So with that, there are 2 questions. Can they beat the Lions? And if they get to the Super Bowl, can they beat who comes out of that AFC, whether it's the Bills or the Chiefs? And with this current offense, that answer is probably not, because the quarterback is going to have to be better. He just is, because when he's going, if they make it to the Super Bowl, you're going to be dueling with a big gun, whether it's Lamar or Patrick or Josh. You're going to have to go head up with those quarterbacks. Yes, people are going to harbor on that Super Bowl in 2022. Yes, he did do that, but that was a long time ago. He's a different player. We have plenty of film on Jalen Hurts, and we know what he can and cannot do. And from a passing standpoint, there's a lot that he cannot do. CJ will probably get into that a little bit more, but they're playing the only way that they can, guys, because they put their future in this guy's hands. They gave this guy $50+ million after that Super Bowl and said, that he just had one season of really good quarterback play. That's enough. That's enough. But A.J. Brown, I'm not trying to hear it, dog. You got your money. Like, what more is there? I guess your stats, because it's one of 2 things. Either he's fixated on his stats, or he thinks that they need to pass in order to win. Which, that latter, I credit it. But that's something that you deal with in-house, in the locker room, with your coaching staff. That's not something that you bring to the media, and then you want to push the envelope and put it back onto the media to say, oh, it's you guys' fault. I'm the bad guy now. No, nigga, you came out and said all of that shit because you was feeling some type of way that you didn't get any targets. And I understand it, because your targets per game, you've gone down from 9.2 targets per game last year to 6.6, and you're only averaging about 4.5 catches a game. So I understand, I get it, but stop with that whole guys trying to play the victim and trying to make the media the bad guys. No, you put yourself in that situation, dude. You made it about yourself. So now, whenever this game ends, because this is a big game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether you guys win or lose, we're gonna say, hey, if you win, did you guys get the outcome that you wanted? Like, was the passing better? We're going to be asking questions about that instead of focusing on just how great you've been as a team. Because overall, the team has done well. So a lot of factors have to hold accountability with the situation, starting, in my opinion, with the coach and the quarterback. I don't know if their relationship has been resolved or not, but in my opinion, that's still a problem. And the quarterback apparently has a problem with the receiver, vice versa. So this is not a team that can win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. There are just too many issues with this team. I would be shocked if they made it to the Super Bowl. I just think that the Lions are clear-cut better. And I think that based on what we're seeing and what we're hearing, Jay and Buffy, maybe a team like the Rams, if they can get in there, or a team like the Green Bay Packers, because they're going to be in there, could give this team hell potentially. And don't let the Tampa Bay Bucks get in there, because we already know the Bake Show, he got their number in the postseason. So let's not rule that out. So I'm very, very curious to see what happens with this team in the postseason. My hopes are not high because of all of this ish. And that defense, in my opinion, has been a stalwart. I've actually been impressed with that side of the ball. I think Vic Fangio's did a great job. But offensively, I still don't trust this team. They're too Saquon happy and heavy with the carries, and you don't want to run them into the ground. So those are going to have to come back a little bit if they want him to even be available in the postseason. So you're basically dependent on Saquon to get you there. And hopefully Jalen Hurts can game manage along the way. And in my opinion, that's not a formula to win a Super Bowl. We've already talked about those types of situations, like with the Steelers. Russell Wilson, he's had to, really show us that he can push this team over the edge with his passing. You're not going to be able to game manage against these big dogs. Teams are too great right now. It's not going to work. You can't just rely on a running game. You got to be able to throw the football as well. So Russ has done that. Jalen Hurts has not. Just getting by with 14, 13 completions, that's not enough for me, sir. You have to do better.
Yeah, the passing game with Jalen Hurts has not been really effective this season. It's kind of not really shocking to me. I know Jalen Hurts' biggest flaw to me, honestly, was as a passer. I don't think he stands in the pocket well, analyzes the field. I don't think he processes coverages well. And I think that has a lot to do with why they haven't really been clicking as much. And I do think AJ Brown is kind of a diva, and I think all wide receivers are pretty much divas for the most part, which is why when you have a great wide receiver, you can kind of tolerate it. But if the wide receiver isn't as great as he acts like he is, then it gets to a unmanageable issue where you have to kind of cut loose ends. I do think AJ Brown is the premier receiver in the league. He's bordering on the top 5. So I do think it's acceptable for them to have this issue, but they have to get this sorted out, because I can definitely see a postseason scenario where they're playing against a team and the team perfectly counters the run game with Saquon, because Saquon, in my opinion, is one of these backs where he doesn't really break off like 5 to 6 yards each carry. It's usually about a gain of 3 each time, and then he breaks you off one or 2 times a game that gets you like 20 yards or maybe be a 60-yarder. So I am cognizant of a playoff situation that happens like that, but I think Jalen Hurts, he's kind of the fault man right here, and I don't want to hear no blame on the coach. I think every NFL fan, when it comes to defending their team, they automatically blame the head coach. I don't think Sirianni's really at fault for this. I think Jalen Hurts, he just hasn't really become a great thrower of the football. And when you look at the analytics, he has not been great. He has been really, and for a mobile quarterback, this is really bad. He's taken a lot of sacks this year. And for you to have one of the great offensive lines in the league, you have Lane Johnson as your right tackle. and you're still taking sacks at a pretty high rate. I think he was in like the top percentile of taking sacks. He was very high up there. So this is really a bad habit, and he's not really accurate outside of the deep ball, outside the numbers, which he does like. So it's very bad for them, because they're a contender like in the NFC. Like, honestly, I see the Lions a better team than them, than probably like the Vikings and then Packers. But outside of them, I don't really see many teams that, for a talent basis, is better than this team flat out. I'd be comfortable with seeing like them if they made Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised at it. But they have to get this issue sorted, because their team defensively they're holding up. Like, they they counted the Ravens to like 19 points. I know the Ravens, it was 19 points, but it was really like 12. Like, Lamar Jackson and those guys kind of stat padded at the end with like a late touchdown. It was really 12 points. And their defense has been phenomenal. Quinyon Mitchell has been fabulous. Jalen Carter's building up his Defensive Player of the Year resume. He's wreaking havoc. So for all these scenarios to be going well for them, they have the defense, which they struggled with last year, playing at a great level. One of the best defenses in the league. A running back who is in top 2 MVP convos and is the front runner for the Offensive Player of the Year. And all these scenarios going on, the offensive line is good. You got a well receiving core. When Devontae Smith comes back, it's going to be really, really great. You got all these scenarios playing well for you. It's just the quarterback play has to be great. And I think it's just so funny. This is going to be my last point before I get to Jay. I thought it was so funny that niggas were trying to put Jalen Hurts in MVP convos when he wasn't even the most valuable player on his team. Niggas trying to put him in MVP convos because his numbers look similar to other MVPs. We're throwing in the running. I was like, what? This is so crazy. That was beyond me, man. But he has to get sorted out, because I honestly thought when he was playing at Alabama, he had a couple issues that he just didn't iron out, and that's what I thought was the difference between him and Tua. Like, he has like the running ability that Tua doesn't have. But I think Tua is a better pocket passer in the pocket. That's for damn sure. Like, Tua can make throws that I'm like, okay, that's a really good throw. Like, Jalen Hurts, he doesn't really make any throws that wow me outside of like the moonballs AJ Brown. But yeah, that's all I got, man. There's no blame in the coaching situation like now. I think it's player to player, and they have to get this sorted out if they want to win a championship and a Super Bowl.
Yeah, man. First of all, I want to go ahead to apologize to Nick Sirianni, because I'm pretty sure in the last video, I think I said something about him being bounced out as a head coach. My brother, I apologize. I see that you are not at fault. But as far as, what Brandon Graham said about AJ Brown and Hurts, outside situation, I don't really care, as long as they doing what they're supposed to do. Once they step on that field, that's what they're supposed to do. That's their job. But as far as that outside stuff, we can think of Donovan McNabb and T.O. and see how long a history that has been. And even when Brandon Graham did say that AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts weren't cool, like, one of the first guys that said something about it was Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens. And once again, we still see that, these guys are at their ripe age of like the 50s. They're still, I don't know who's holding the grudge, but they still not cool. So if there is a relationship that they do have, obviously they need to patch it, because you don't want to sit here and hold on to something when you're pushing 50, and when you got kids and stuff, like you want to push that age and still have a grudge against a grown man that you play with. So yeah, man, that outside relationship, I do think they need to fix it to a certain degree. But Jalen Hurts, man, stop trying to fool me with these motivational quotes, bro, because I see what you're trying to do, but it's not gonna work on me. Like Illuminati says, it's not finna work on me. It's not working on me. So Jalen Hurts stats don't look bad, but he still hasn't been playing good. Like, I can understand AJ Brown's frustration. Jalen Hurts, as good as his O-line has been playing, like, this dude still takes so many sacks. Like, he takes forever to get the ball off. And it's really the next person that I can compare him to is Bryce Young. Like, taking all these sacks and stuff and being so indecisive. But Bryce Young, he got out of that. He got the confidence, and now look at him. He's playing good, even though they're still losing. He's still playing good, and we're actually seeing, a good quarterback out of him. But I mean, Jalen Hurts, like, even though they winning, we still seeing that there's a problem with this offense. And if we talk about, Super Bowl hope, Super Bowl chances, I don't see them beating the Lions. I don't see, they probably won't beat the Packers. I mean, even though they beat them in the regular season, they might not beat them in the postseason. The Vikings might mess around and creep up and get something. Or even Baker Mayfield might run it back and, snatch their chain again. But I mean, we got, the best running back in the league in Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts is going to be, his stats going to look good. Because, I mean, at the 1 yard line, there's like, I believe, 8 touchdowns that, Saquon Barkley missed out on due to being stopped at the 1 yard line. And then when they do the tush push, that's when Jalen Hurts comes in and cleans it up. I mean, that's where he's getting a lot of his, rushing touchdowns from. AJ Brown, I mean, it's a part of it, being like one of the best receivers in the league and the best receiver on your team. You're not going to always see the ball. I mean, we see that with CeeDee Lamb and his frustration with Dak and not getting the ball. When you try your quarterback and you're trying to force the ball into, your top receiver, it's not going to always work out well because, I mean, these top receivers, they getting double teamed. Sometimes they might even get triple teamed. And they know that the quarterback is trying to get them the ball. So when you have a quarterback that's trying to fit it in for you, it's going to hurt y'all at some points. And then at sometimes, it might work out. So pause that. It's definitely something that's going to have to work out between Jalen Hurts because, I mean, he still, hasn't been playing up to his 2022 season. So that's still something we got to figure out. I mean, the defense has stepped up, even though, we still got an anemic person in CJ Gardner-Johnson on that defense. They have stepped up and they've been playing better. But once again, it seems like it's an offensive issue. And it seems like it might not even be on the field as much as off the field. It seems like, I guess, off the field is colliding with on the field problems. So something's going to have to be fixed when it comes to playoff time, because if y'all are trying to run it back to Super Bowl, y'all have to be locked in and in sync. So when you're trying to go up against, a team like the Detroit Lions who are together, I mean, they got a great head coach in Dan Campbell. The team is literally loaded. So y'all are going to have to probably play damn near perfect against them. And then if y'all do get over them and make it to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to meet that guy, Patrick Mahomes, in the Super Bowl. And we all know how that went. And even if y'all didn't meet Patrick Mahomes, you meet Josh Allen. I mean, we know what Josh Allen can do. And Lamar Jackson, hey, if Lamar Jackson made the Super Bowl, hey, maybe he might be a different guy. You know what I'm saying? Like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they going to have some work to put in. So if it starts in the locker room, it's going to have to start in the locker room. But, something's going to have to change. And it's going to have to happen fast and soon if they want to, make it back to Super Bowl.